Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to one of my patch note rundowns for TFT, patch 9.17. Usually before patch notes, I talk about what I think about the meta, and this meta, last two patches have been pretty infested with nobles, the very top end. Kind of sick of them. I hope they get all big nerfs because I don't think a synergy with the strong early game should also have the ultimate late game fantasy. Like that feels really counterintuitive for game balance reasons. So I'm hoping that gets nerfed. On top of that, I generally think that there's a couple problems with the game, but a lot of it's just covered up by the fact that nobles exist. I'm probably not going to talk more about like the actual general state of the game. Rather, I'll just talk more about synergy and like in-game balance than anything else. I think a lot of the synergies in the game, it's really difficult to get like the ultra version. Like I think wild, for instance, no one ever wants to go 4 wild unless you're running shapeshifter sorcerers. No one really can go 6 shapeshifter. 6 Yordle sucks ass. Same with 6 sorcerers is like actually not bad. You know, I think it's a good like late game fantasy, but it's really hard to get. Except for nobles, which just turns out to be the best in almost every situation. So I think a lot of the meta is seeming really controlled by nobles, especially at the very top end, like top 4. On top of that, I think that anything that happens, like if nobles get nerfed, I think Eve is going to be like a huge dominant threat because I've really played against a lot of Eve recently, and if it wasn't for nobles, I think Eve would just smash like every game, at least every mid game. So this will be pretty interesting. Let's see what we're doing. This week, Pantheon crashes into Convergence as a new champion joined the roster. Also have a series of changes that accumulates and giving some consistency to a few traits. Assassins are getting a mini rework that adds critical strike to their kit at the expense of some damage. Rangers have an increased chance to proc their attack speed bonus. Shapeshifters should transform faster and Yordle should dodge more. Cool. Pantheon, new champion. Dragon Guardian leaps to the ground, crashing down furthest enemies, stunning them for 4, 6, 8 seconds. Enemies in Pantheon's path take a shitload of their health as magic damage. They burn for additional 20%. Their max health as true damage over what the heck is Morello's built into his kit? And okay. Cool. I think it's really dangerous to give a class that gives armor also magic immunity. So the first thing I saw when I realized the origin class combo of Pantheon is like there are some really crazy compositions. Like for instance, nobles that if you can grant, like Leona's part of the noble composition, and like Aesol is part of like mage compositions. And if you can grant those compositions like a damage dealing frontliner at 5 costs that also can potentially give guardians. So it's like a frontline damage dealer. Plus that's magic immune as well. It seems pretty nutty. I think that the origin class combination is pretty insane, especially at the very top end. So I'm excited to see how it works out. Just based on last comp, like or last patch. Like let's say if you're running nobles and you run nobles and find a Pantheon, then it could slot in easily right off the bat, right? It could be like your 7th unit because it works with Leona. Gives you guardians and potentially like I could see this quite a bit in compositions that work around mages because it seems like he stuns front lines, adds additional frontline with guardians, works well with Aesol, one of the best mages in the game, and applies a lot of damage and grievous wounds. So probably see this in a lot of Aesol mage compositions, with the ability to add guardian and dragon. Cool. Let's keep going. Systems. The first carousel now all 2 cost units. I remember fucking Alpha when I told them they should do this, and they were just like, we'll think about it. We'll take your opinion into consideration. But you know what, Scar? What do you know? You fucking idiot, dude. You're not even rank 1. And now, fucking 7 patches later, they did it. Alright. This is just a nice quality of life buff. It just sucks to be the guy going for the random like 1 cost unit. Even if it has a bow, I don't think it's nice. I think just having it consistent, it's like a very small quality of life buff. Honestly, it doesn't even really matter. But you know, I just like saying I'm right because I'm really narcissistic. Ghost armies now benefit from trait bonuses are actually spooky. This is great competitively, like at a top end, but people are going to feel really bad about this, I think, because now that they benefit from trade bonuses, like you're going to be dying faster. So the game, and you're not going to feel good because you're not going to be able to do damage to people. But I think this is like a necessary change because Ghost Army should never have been in the game in the first place. It should never be a free win, in my opinion. So I welcome this change so much. It's just gonna feel bad. I'll be honest. At least for the casual player base, in my opinion. A Ghost Army is what happens when you have an odd number of units in the game, and what ends up happening is you hit a copy of another player because you can't get matched up directly with someone else. A lot of times currently in the game, Ghost Army has no trade bonuses, so they're super weak. A lot like Robot doesn't work, fucking a lot of their items don't work, yada yada. But now they actually should, and I do think it's really important that it works for the game state. I'll be honest, it's really good. Attack speed cap has now been increased from 2.5 to 5.0 so fast. I love this. I think the idea of having like a stupidly fast attacking unit is hilarious. For people who don't know, the only thing in the game that can currently break attack speed is Blade Master. So Blade Master allows you to have like moments in time where you break like the 3.0 barrier. Because the way Blade Master works is it throws extra autos at faster than the attack speed cap. The other it's different than Ranger bonus, which is like, you just get a shitload of attack speed. This is actually a direct buff to Rangers, by the way, because especially when you have like Rage Blade on Rangers, you'll be able to hit like that 5.0 attack speed cap. Because what Ranger bonus does is it just chain guns your auto attacks. Like you just auto so fucking fast with Rage Blade, or just normally, and you hit the attack speed cap instantly. Actually, if you run the Rage Blade on Rangers right now, you only really need 2 Ranger buff to hit the attack speed cap in the team fight. I think now if you have 4, it's likely that you could potentially hit a 5.0 in a team fight, which is great because on top of like Shiv and other stuff, I feel like it was too easy to hit the attack speed cap sometimes with Rangers with the Rage Blade. I think that it's nice that there's a higher, like, I guess, cap. It's cool. I like it a lot. It's definitely a soft buff to Rangers. I like it. It's good. But it just makes the value of Rage Blade higher for everything. Like, even for Blade Masters, Rage Blade is going to be nice. And to be honest, you're probably not going to hit 5.0 nearly as much as you think. It really is for those fringe case scenarios where you have like 6 Blade Masters or like 4 Rangers with Rage Blade. Like, is the only time you're ever going to be able to hit this cap. Anyways, let's keep going. Assassins. So, okay, they're reworked out a bit more consistently. Increase the delay before assassin jumps so they can access the backline more often. Great. Trade bonus. They sacrifice crit damage for more crit chance. So you have baseline 10% crit chance in the game, or 25. So one every 4 autos. This makes 35, which is 1 in every like 1 every 3 autos, give or take. And this gives 50% chance to crit. They make it so assassins have more consistency in their autos. I actually don't really care about consistency. I feel like if you're playing assassins, like, you live for that crit. Like, that fat ass crit, you're like, oh yeah, 3k, But like you hitting it more or less, like, I don't really care too much about that RNG aspect of assassins. I'm not gonna lie. But the increased delay before assassin jump is really important. I think right now assassins are really bad at being able to be consistent. Like, a lot of times they block each other, you don't de-corner at all, and that's the biggest problem with assassins is, like, if you position correctly and their backline doesn't move forward, you can never get your assassins to attack like the squishy backline. If this really does work out, like, I don't even care about these two. They could just delete these from the game or from the patch notes, but this is the big one, and I really do hope that assassin consistency is better. In my opinion, it's really just like, it's to say a lot that 3 assassin compositions are seeing a lot more play than 6 assassin compositions, and a large part of the reason why is not only are other units better, but also just like you're able to get a consistent performance with 3 assassins, whereas 6 assassins you'll have like your random pike stuck in, your Rengar gets trapped, your Zed just starts like getting stuck as well. Like, it just feels really bad. Oh yeah, let's keep going. Hextech. I've always advocated for Hextech to be down to 5 seconds. I think for 2-piece proc, I don't think that the 4-piece proc duration should be decreased, because I think look, if you're gonna break your if you're gonna go like Camille, Jace, and you're gonna get Jinx and Vi, you deserve 8 seconds, you know, because like that is a really hard composition to run, and I applaud you for making a composition that unique. Like good shit, man. I do think the 2-piece Hextech is too oppressive at 8. I would like them to tone it down to something like 5 or 6. But yeah, I mean, honestly, no one's gonna build 4 unless you're crazy. Any nerf to the 2, which this is technically a nerf to both 2 and 4, is nice. 1 second off doesn't feel like a lot, but it's actually quite significant, especially if you saw my last game. I had 3 GAs, and there's a lot of situations where my Morgana barely lived because like at the 8-second window, and at the 7-second window, like it's very, very consistent. I would have preferred something more like 6 seconds at level rank 1 to 6 or 5 seconds at rank 1. Probably 6 is more safer, to like 8 at 2 with the 2 hex. But I welcome any kind of nerf to Hextech 2-piece. So this is more than a 10% nerf. It seems bad because it's 1 second, but it's pretty important. Let's keep going. Nobles, tapping on their power a little bit. Okay, this buff is stupid. Why is Nobles one of the best early game buffs, and why is it one of the best late game buffs? Look, I get it. Like, the biggest problem with this game is there's not counterplay to synergies with other synergies. Most of the counterplays to synergies are built through items. Guess how you counterplay a dragon if you're a mage? Well, you run like Morello's red buff, or you throw like, you know, a Draven in your composition. You counterplay nobles by like, you know, Void technically is their main counter pick. I guess that's like one of the only counter picks that kind of consistent through synergies. You counter Yordles through RFC, stuff like that. Like you counter demons with like double Negatron. You don't really counter them anyway else. And so it's like really obnoxious to me that nobles have both armor and magic resist. I see nobles as like a buff that should be like very geared toward one or the other. Like generally speaking, like if this gave 70 armor and like 35 MR, I'd be like, hell yeah, that means my mages and the magic damage units that I'm gonna deal are gonna eat up nobles. But and you want to be building nobles into stuff like gunslinger comps, Draven comps would feel pretty good. Maybe ranger comps as well would feel pretty good. You know, I think that seems good. But having it be an overall buff just seems like bad. Now, don't get me wrong, the nerfs are pretty significant. The healing goes down by quite a bit, which is relevant because a lot of times you can skip BT for IE and do quite well. Additionally, you can reduce never mind. I think it's just the armor and MR and the healing do matter quite a bit. Like the reductions for this are pretty important. It just sucks because like the way I see the history of nobles is that it started out with 100 armor and no one knew how to play the game, and all the nobles sucked. Like the individual units outside Garen, which was super OP, sucked ass. Fiora got 3 buffs. 2 buffs? 3 buffs, I think. Garen got attack speed buff after his nerf. I think every noble unit got buffed attack speed wise. Leona got passive armor with a singular unit, which was good. Kale got like 2 nerfs, but like for the most part, every other unit got buffed. Lucian got a 95 base damage buff that got reverted last patch. And because nobles are so strong, because they made it now affect armor and MR, they've had to go back and like hit the nobles on the head. They're like, oh shit, we overbuff Lucian, bah. Oh shit, we overbuff like Kale, bah, bah, you know? Like where it's like a lot of the power is because they made the synergy so strong, they buff the individual units, and then they're going backwards to nerf the individual units because the synergy is so good. And like, that's kind of what I fear for stuff like Wild. Like they keep buffing Wild and like Wild units, and I think 2 Wild is like borderline broken. Like Nidalee and early Nidalee and early Ahri. Ahri's like disgusting. What a unit, you know? And they keep buffing Wild, and I'm just like, look, the Wild itself is like bad because when you get 4 Wild, it doesn't really help any of the 4 units. So 4 of your 6 units are more benefited by 4 wild than 2. And I feel like what's going to happen in the future is that wild is going to get buffed to like actually affect 4 units, and they're going to have to go backwards to nerf all the individual wild units they buff, because already right now they're too good. Sorry, I kind of tangented there, but yeah, that's how I feel about nobles right now. It came out, the units and the synergy came out kind of weak. They buffed all the units, they buffed the synergy, and they're having to go backwards and nerf all the units because the synergy is too good. And you know what? I just think that feels kind of bad from a balance standpoint. Anyways, let's keep going. Rangers, double attack speed goes from 30 to 70%. I'm okay with this. You know, I like Rangers. I think Rangers are already pretty good. I don't want to see too many more buffs, especially if we're nerfing other stuff. Rangers, I feel like, are always like an above, like kind of an average above average composition, and I don't want to give any more power to them, especially, I don't want to give any more power to them, you know? They're usually kept down by stuff like assassins. So assassin consistency buff usually makes Rangers overall feel pretty bad about their lives. But you want to be really, really careful about buffing Rangers, because they're definitely something that is, I would say very, very meta in multiple different, and like especially in Korea, the Korean region uses a lot of Rangers, and they're definitely better than people give them credit for, especially in NA. Shapeshifters will make it easier for shapeshifters to transform. Okay, 15 Jace armor increase. Jace will transform at max mana, even if there's no one range to knock away. Shyvana goes down. Gnar goes down. Okay, stop buffing Gnar, dude. Gnar is so fucking good. What? Like, Gnar is incredible. Like every time. Dude, Gnar got like a 40 AD buff last patch. Gnar got like a total mana buff. Gnar is actually great. Like, holy moly, calm down. The stuff I will say is I think that Jace needed a buff for sure. Jace is a unit that's like, I think Jace and Camille are pretty underwhelming units. The units that are in line for buffs soon. I think that like him getting buffs is something that I strongly approve of. I'm not going to say Shyvana buff. I like Shyvana buff as well, and I like the Nidalee buff. Nidalee, I don't think really needed it. Jace, meh. Jace needed it for sure. Shyvana, I would say, it's okay. She could use it, but I would say she's like an average, slightly above average unit. And Gnar, I would say, is an above average unit. Doesn't really need many more buffs. But you know what? Whatever. I like playing shapeshifters. It's good. So, Yordles, dodge chance. 35% and 60. They keep buffing Yordles, but you know what? 6 Yordles sucks ass, because the problem is at some point the numbers are so high you're just gonna slam Yordles into your comp. But right now you can only run 3 Yordles because 6 Yordles has Trist, and Trist is not effective in any sort of Yordle composition ever. When you run Yordles, the only synergy you can get is at 7 you can get mages, at 8 you can get elementalists. And you can get, also at 7, you can get Jinx for gunslingers. But to be honest, it's not very good for your composition. So the difference is, and I'm going to talk about this right here. And I'm going to say I'm not going to talk any more about this. The new item that they're introducing in 9.18 allows you to change and add a new Yordle into the lineup. That is going to make 6 Yordle comps very, very, very scary, in my opinion. Until we get there, let's not talk too much about it. And I'm not going to go over the new items because I feel like the context of the new items will matter a lot depending on what's changing for 9.18. And you kind of see what's changing for 9.17. They're adding a new unit. They increased the cap speed. Ghost armies are changing. Assassins got reworked. Nobles got power. Like big patches have big changes. And I don't want to take the changes out of context this early into the cycle. It's 2 weeks away. So this is the only time I'm going to talk about it. I'm just going to say the biggest problem I have with Yordles is just that Trist is not good, doesn't fit the composition. But like that's getting solved in 2 patches from now. So something you want to keep in mind. I don't necessarily think Yordles needed a buff right now. If anything, I would say only the 6 Yordles needed a buff. The 3 Yordles are good. I see a bunch of compositions run 3 Yordles, stuff with Kennen, stuff with like Night Mages runs 3 Yordles a lot. And you can run 3 Yordles with Brawler Mages too. Like it's Shapeshifter Sorcerers can sometimes run it, but I guess not really, because you want Shyvana and Naso. But like you can run like some sort of Brawler Mage composition, Void Brawler Mage composition with Yordles as well. And so I don't think 3 needed to be buffed. I do think 6 needed a buff as well. Anyways, let's keep going. Graves adjusts his interaction with Rapidfire. He maintains his range bonus, but now narrows his bullet spread like a shotgun choke. Oh, so does it spread like this? That kind of sucks. I think it's funny watching Graves like spread out his buckshot like incredibly wide. I actually think that's. I don't necessarily know if that's a buff or nerf. He can do further damage, more damage to further away units. I have not personally used rapid fire on Graves. So I don't necessarily know the context of it. You guys are saying it's a nerf. I'm gonna just take your word for it. This is something that I don't want to talk too much about because I've not personally used rapid fire Graves. So for me, I don't know exactly what it is. Warwick, you remember how we talked about wild units and how they're already good? Warwick is kind of one of the more underwhelming tier 1 tank units, so you know what, I'm not too opposed to it. However, Warwick is a huge synergy enabler in Rengar compositions, in Brawler compositions, and wild compositions. I don't necessarily think Rengar needs buffs because he's so core in a lot of compositions that like he's like Lysandra, right? You pay a tax for being in Elementalist, and like this, okay, I can't say Gameplay because Gameplay's actually broken as hell, and I heard he's getting nerfed in this patch. But like you pay a tax for being like flexible with a lot of different comps, and I think that like Warwick, you know, doesn't necessarily need buffs because of that. 50 health, you know what? Sure, give it to him. I'm not gonna complain. Lysandra, let's talk about shitty units. Lysandra got buffed. Remember, so in my item run breakdown, I said never to stack this unit because she's ass. And so they buffed her last patch, and I said that doesn't matter because the buff, like no one's gonna use her anyways. And they buffed her again here, and it's actually quite significant here. So what they ended up buffing was they ended up giving her 50 more health, which is great, really good. Almost 10% right there. They gave her more. Their mana actually is a nerf if you're stacking Shojins, but I don't think anyone in the right mind is stacking Shojins on Lysandra right now over Brand. It's a buff for Archangels, so like if you're going Archangels oriented or tier oriented buffs to get the first ulti off, it's good. The ability damage also got buffed to I would say decent level. I'm kind of willing to give Lysandra a shot right now. Like if I get an early Lysandra and put like Archangels on her, like will it be good? I don't know. The one problem I have with Lysandra is under 50% health, she always ults herself and she doesn't heal. So I get pissed off at that. I wish that like it would heal her when she ultied herself, or just targeted like, you know, that priority fucking Draven as opposed to ulting herself next time. I really don't like the self ulti. Even as a frontline disengage, it's like it feels pretty bad. But yeah, I actually think the ability damage is decent now. Like definitely like they buffed it twice. I think the second time at 325 at level 2, you know, I could see a world where I use Lysandra. Do I see a world where I go Lysandra 2 or Lysandra 3? Maybe for a YouTube video. But like it's a 2 cost minion, I might actually do it. Like at 2 costs, I can see a world where you go Lysandra 3 because it's only 612 extra gold as opposed to more than that. I think the buffs helped her out quite a bit here, and she's actually maybe going to be a stackable unit if you get her early. I'm more than willing to experiment with her because generally speaking, you sell Lysandra for like the Brand, Kennen, Anivia later. So like if you can keep Anivia items on Lysandra and not feel bad about it, you're going to be happy with these. Because like she doesn't need to be like super godlike hyper carry mode. She just needs to be good enough that if you get an early Lysandra 2, you can keep the stuff on her until your Anivia or your Brand comes in, and then you could sell her later. Like I think that's kind of where the point at where she's at right now. Okay, let's keep going. Relentless Pursuit second shot now scales with Lucian's attack speed. Actually, Lucian buff. I think it should mean that he whiffs a lot less of the second shot because it's a little bit slow. And if he whiffs, whiffs the second shot, doesn't proc Ludens, so it kind of does matter. I'm all for it. Sure, Lucian got a pretty big nerf last patch, and Noble's got nerfed here. I don't really care. It's just a quality of life buff. Nice. Gameplay. This unit's broken. Mainly because he's broken with red buff and GA. So, and he's really flexible in a lot of different compositions. So he should get attacks because he's super flexible. 50 base damage nerf, 75 base damage nerf. Well deserved. Sorry, buddy. You need to get hit pretty hard over the head. All right, Leona, thank God they're nerfing her stun duration. They only nerfed it by 1 second though. I'm surprised she gets the luxury. You know what? I thought they were gonna go do something like 469, but they did. Okay, you know, yeah, it's still gonna feel bad getting hit with it, but I welcome any duration nerf by Leona. Leona's kind of nutty right now, I'm not gonna lie. Um, I'm happy for any buffs. Whatever, you know. Nobles just got shit on. Gameplank got shit on. Leona got shit on. So like, you know what? I am okay with hitting her a little bit less hard. I'm okay with that. 12% reduction, we're okay with that. Healing effects are tuned to Grievous Wounds, completely turning off. Since reducing Grievous Wounds effects will also reduce the effectiveness of other healing effects to keep them from being too strong. Okay. Grievous Wounds healing goes down by 20%. So it's not 100% healing reduction. That's great. The BT Thirster goes down by 10%. Okay. The Hextech healing goes down by, that's 20%. Like this is 20% overall effectiveness. I think this is about 20% overall effectiveness as well. I can't do math. Don't worry. So like, it's give or take. You know, just fudge the numbers a little bit. Swain healing goes down. Great. I think Swain's broken. Redemption healing goes down. Great. As long as this is in the game, I'm happy because I don't think healing reduction should be full. Just like having the dragon synergy at full 100% magic reduction was kind of bullshit. So I think this is a great change to the game. 2 thumbs up. Let's keep going. Hextech fix the disable edge, fix a bunch of random stuff. This is the most important one, I think. These two, Hextech not enabling Ionic after its effect really sucked ass. Improved the Shyvana ability logic. She now looks for spots to jump away that are far away from her target. They said this last patch. She jumped. I tried her. She jumped into the Draven like yesterday. So I'm hoping they really did actually improve this because, well, I think it's funny. I'm not enjoying it that much. Rek'Sai now probably knocks at her target at longer range. Is great. I think it's weird that she just burrows down and whiffs every time. Fix Warwick spawning new Warwick. Okay, I saw this literally last game. Fix Warwick's ability damage with his bonus AP. Okay. Ari will no longer cast her ability at enemies not in range. I thought this was the case like 4 patches ago, but I think it still happened. Lucian now correctly triggers launch effects on his first auto after his dash. Oh, this was like a bug where you didn't shiv correctly. I guess that's somewhat important. I don't know. I couldn't even tell if this was working or not. But sure, you know, that actually does kind of matter. Fix Luden's not triggering if this target this will die. What? That's actually pretty big. There's a lot of situations where the Lucian's second shot goes off, and the unit dies, and the Luden's doesn't proc. This happened a lot more than you. This happened a lot more than you would expect. So yeah, Luden's Lucian buff. Yeah, it happens. Trust me, it happens more than you would expect, and it pisses me off when it happens. Fix Viol sometimes chain hitting the same. Oh, if you put your Vi in the top left right now, it auto kills one of the Krugs. By the way, at the PV round. But I think that was a bug exploit. I did it a couple times, so I hope I don't get banned. Little legends that get inside the initial strap are now booted out. Okay, great. This is a bug from a long time ago. You can now mute players through the scoreboard. Nice. Visual effects to add your win streak on the scoreboard. Nice. That's nice. It's nice to see people's win streaks. I like that a lot. Okay, overall, let's talk about the patch. Healing change, fucking fantastic. Great job. Whatchamacallit? Ghost armies benefiting from traits. Great job. Assassin consistency. Great job. Might make assassins too strong, but still, like, I won't care if assassins are weaker if they're consistent, so I don't pull out my teeth because I get people stuck when they jump in. Like, that's just incredibly annoying. Hextech nerf, kind of wish it was 1 second more. 7 seconds, we'll deal with it. Noble nerf, thank God. Honestly, they're still going to be good. But are they going to be top 2 in top 4 good? No, they're probably going to be 1 in top 4 good. Or if it might go down from 3 to 2 or 2 to 1. And you know what? I'm okay with that. I am happy enough that the nerf seems big enough that you're going to get something for that. Rangers buffs, good, but be a little bit careful about Rangers. They're pretty decent. Shapeshifter buff, good, except for I don't think Gnar needed a buff, but overall good. Yordles, 3 Yordles got buffed. 3 Yordles are already really good. 6 Yordles you're never going to play anyways. Lysandra buff's nice. She can hold items for your Anivia. I might try stacking Lysandra. Gameplay nerf, great. Leona nerf, great. I'm surprised they didn't buff individual units, so I was expecting a Jace buff, expecting a Camille buff here. I think Camille's pretty trash, and Jace is pretty bad too. But that didn't really happen. I would say be very careful of Eve this patch. Eve 2 with GA is going to ruin your life. GA or Gunblade. They did nothing for demons, and they made it so, in my opinion, Eve 2 is going to be a monster. Because she already did really well in the meta. Technically, Noble should do well against Eve. And so, get ready for a lot of Eve 2s, in my opinion. Oh, the way to beat Eve 2, by the way, is put a Dragon's Claw on the unit she jumps on, and then she doesn't get to play the game. So if you guys are struggling with Eve, just Dragon's Claw your backline, and you just win for free. I'll give you that tip for free because I'm a nice ass dude. Anyways, I think I'm good. Remember, additional reminder: we're not talking about new items till 9.18 comes out. I don't want to talk about the new items outside the context of the patch because maybe the patch has something that directly like changes up what those items will do.